Good morning, YouTube. My name is Daniel Claremont, and I'm the Acadian therapist. Okay, well, I'm an Acadian therapist. There's lots more, but I don't see the rest of them around, so I'm just going to go with it. I am here with my very inattentive fellow therapist, Rainier, who is very interested by our surroundings, which is scenic and rather chilly Cap Forchu, Nova Scotia. And I'm here for a very specific purpose. I find that often we therapists, when we're in our office, we come up with these different strategies, but we don't really use them in the field. And so that's what I thought we would do today. I thought we would try practicing a little bit of strategy out in the world, in the wild, and I can be a little bit less of a house cat. So we're going to talk today about dropping anchor, easily one of the most misunderstood strategies that I use. Okay, it's not so literal anchor, but bear with me. We're going to get to it. Hold up. Today is February the 7th, 2021. Temperature is -2, wind chill of -5, which pretty normal for this time of year, I guess. Off in the distance, you might see a tiny little speck. It's the Yarmouth Lighthouse, very beautiful. We're going to get a lot closer to it very soon. But first, I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about what drop anchor means. Beyond the obvious fisherman reference. It comes from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, whose therapy I'm very fond of. And I first learned this technique through a course by Russ Harris, who's really awesome. He has a lot of YouTube videos. You should look him up. That's Russ Harris. I'll find a way to link to it below. But basically, this is one of the more misunderstood grounding strategies, or what we would call distress tolerance. And don't worry about these big words. We're just going to keep it as nice and practical as we can. So it is a technique that we apply when we're feeling really overwhelmed and really stressed. Rainier, do you want to drop anchor? Not so much. I get that skepticism a lot, actually. But my hope is it will be helpful if we practice it. So I'm going to start with a story. I'm going to tell you the story of the wise fisherman. And my apologies in advance, because I don't like using the term fishermen. It feels very, very gendered, but I've never come up with a gender-neutral term for fishermen that fits. So hopefully you'll forgive me and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. So I want to tell you the story of a fisherman in a storm. A really intense storm, and the waves are battering and the rain is coming down, and it's really, really miserable. And do you think it would be a good idea for said fisherman to get up on the deck and scream and yell at the storm and rage against it and tell it, "Go away, storm, I hate you"? Not so much, not so helpful. So the wise fisherman drops an anchor and waits out the storm. And this is an important point, because often when I discuss this with clients, people will come back a few weeks later and say, "I tried it and it didn't work." I say, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, I still felt really crappy." So I want to be really clear. This is not a technique that it's not a relaxation technique, but it is a technique to help give us perspective. Often, our thoughts and our feelings make the situation worse than it actually is. The situations are just bad sometimes. But we can take steps to stop from making the situation worse by the story that we tell about it. I'm going to give you a demonstration in just a second. And we're back. And we're right close to the lighthouse. This particular spot is one of my absolute favorites in the world. I lived in Ontario for a number of years, and I never forgot the beauty of this specific place. It is a rocky outcropping. It's just this finger of land that stretches out into the ocean, where wind chill is at its utter chilliest. Rainier is in the car. I did not want to subject him to the chilliness. I'm going to subject myself to a little bit more of it, though. And I really hope I get this right in the first take. And we're back. Okay. I'm noticing the pressure of the ground under my feet. I'm noticing my parka folded on the banister and having the thought, oh, I wish I was wearing that right now. I'm noticing my breath. I'm noticing the feeling of the wind on my skin. I'm noticing the thought that I don't like this. I'm noticing the thought that maybe I'm looking foolish or people will judge me. I'm noticing that that's a judgmental thought. I'm noticing the ground under my feet. I'm noticing the sound of the waves. I'm having the thought that this is such a beautiful space and that I'm so fortunate to be here. I'm noticing the ground under my feet. I'm noticing how loud the waves are. I'm noticing the cold on my back, on my legs. I'm noticing a prickling feeling on my skin. My mind is blank, and I notice that. I notice my heart beating faster. I notice the thought of how beautiful this place is. And I notice the ground under my feet. I notice another breeze, and I notice the thought that I don't like that very much. And I'm noticing my breath. I'm noticing the calm of this place. I'm noticing the ground under my feet. I'm going to give you one last look around because this is a gorgeous, gorgeous space. And as simple as that, we are now transported instantly, thanks to the magic of dropping anchor, into a warm, comfortable space. Oh my heavens, no. But I assure you, I'm a lot warmer now. And I assure you, that was not a very comfortable experience. Now, in that particular case, I did notice some calm that came over me. And sometimes that happens with this technique. So sometimes if you're having a lot of anxiety, if you're having a lot of stress, if you drop anchor, it helps you detach a little bit from those thoughts. And I'll say more about detaching from thoughts later. There's so much I want to talk about. There's so much that I want to explore and explain. So hopefully we'll continue to meet in this space and we'll be able to do that more. So every once in a while when you do dropping anchor, you will feel better. You will feel calm. So when that happens, go ahead and enjoy that. But that's not at all the purpose of this activity. The purpose is to separate from our thoughts instead of just buying them and accepting them as truth. Things legitimately suck. Things are definitely hard. Right now I'm in my private practice office. I think about people that I've worked with over the past 20 years, and most of them will come to me after having been through the worst moments of their lives. Dropping anchor doesn't make that go away, but it helps give us some perspective, and it helps us stop from being completely swept up in the emotions sometimes. Especially take a panic attack, which is anxiety about anxiety. So when we can notice that there are thoughts, and some key elements from dropping anchor that you may have noticed. So maybe the most important part is noticing the ground under your feet. That's the anchor. Most of us never notice the bottoms of our feet. So we notice that. And we notice the thoughts, we notice the feelings. And if you're having a lot of anxiety, if you're having a lot of stress, flashbacks, different aspects, we can notice this really intense reaction, and we notice it, and we notice that we hate it. Aspects that I was adding, so labeling it. So that's a judgment. That's a feeling of cold on my skin. That's, my heart beating faster, my breathing. So just noticing, labeling thoughts when they're coming up. I'm having that thought, I'm having that feeling, and I'm noticing the ground under my feet. A variation, if you're laying in bed, noticing the bed that's under you, letting the bed hold your weight. So all of these are just different things to help detach a little bit from it. So that is basically dropping anchor. I'm not going to go on a lot more about it, but feel free to mash the like button, subscribe. I don't know. Maybe this will be the only video I make, but hopefully I'm going to get around to making some more. Give me some feedback, give me some questions, anything in particular that you want me to talk about, anything that you've not understood from other therapists, or if you want my opinion on different interventions that people have tried, I'd love to talk. So let's chat. Let's make it useful. Let's get well, folks. Thanks. Take care.